Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to join the chairman in welcoming the witnesses today. I think this hearing is an important opportunity to examine the budget sequester and how we got to this point. I think we all know that the Budget Control Act was a difficult compromise designed to avert an economic crisis and to avoid the default on the country's debt. It reduced spending over the next decade by about $900 billion and set in place an agreement to reduce the deficit by another $1.2 trillion. The sequester was included in the legislation as a last resort to pressure the Congress to develop a bipartisan alternative to achieve long-term deficit reduction. However, as is well known, our Republican colleagues continue to resist the balanced approach to deficit reduction that has been recommended by every bipartisan group that has looked at the budget challenge. Our Republican colleagues continue to oppose the idea that we should close even one special interest tax loophole for the purpose of deficit reduction. This means that come January, as the chairman said, the sword of Damocles will go into effect, imposing indiscriminate across-the-board cuts of almost $1 trillion, 50% from defense and 50% from non-defense spending. It is a meat-axe approach to deficit reduction that we should avoid. There's no question that we need to reduce our deficit. I think we all agree, as the chairman has said, that the meat-axe approach is not the way to go. The cuts would be both too deep and too arbitrary. That's why both the President's budget and the House Democratic alternative budget would replace those deep cuts with a plan to achieve greater deficit reduction from targeted, balanced policy choices. We've seen a number of proposals that are coming out of the process that was set up by our Republican colleagues to deal with the first year of the sequester, and unfortunately we continue to see that lopsided approach. The Ways and Means Committee has proposed eliminating the Social Services Block Grant, which helps 23 million children and adults get essential services, including the Meals on Wheels program, prevention of child abuse and neglect, and child care for low-income parents returning to work, eliminated. In the Ag Committee, Mr. Chairman, not one ag subsidy was cut, not one penny. Instead, the Republican proposal emerging from the Ag Committee will significantly cut food and nutrition programs for millions of families. 300,000 children will lose their free lunch programs at school, and millions of Americans will see reduced support for food and nutrition, again, at a time when not one subsidy for a major agribusiness was cut. That, Mr. Chairman, I think is a twisted result. Finally, in the Financial Services Committee, they proposed to eliminate the Early Intervention Authority to shut down non-bank financial firms whose failures would have a significant negative impact on the economy. The consequence of this will be the next time around, taxpayers will have to pick up the bill. We saw what happened last time. The Wall Street Reform Bill designed a process to make sure that the big banks and financial institutions pay for any future failure. Apparently, our Republican colleagues decided to put the taxpayer at risk instead. So, Mr. Chairman, I would just say that unfortunately what we've seen through the process so far is more of the same. More of the same meaning cutting important investments, shredding the social safety net, and again, protecting tax breaks for the wealthiest Americans and for special interests. We can do a lot better. I hope we will all take the same balanced approach to reducing the deficit as has been recommended by bipartisan commissions, meaning combining tough cuts with cuts to tax breaks and tax loopholes for special interests. I thank you.
Thank you.